Kind of dark. Seems like it's running rich. And it has black soot on it. A little bit. This side is running really rich. The other spark plugs aren't like that. All this whole side is dark all the way up to here. That seems pretty rich. The 3-inch holes are shallow for the 3-inch bolt pattern. They only go in about a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put nuts on these, and that shortens them up just enough to be a 1/4 inch sticking out. See, and then if they still don't come tight, I can just screw that nut and it'll be like a stud. And since I can put these on one primary at a time, I got the gasket bolted up and held in with the bolts on the end, and I'm gonna put the second one back on. Yeah, these fit these gaskets fit the intake, or fit the heads good. So this is probably, if these fit, because I got to go around that steering, and we know that the Team Z steering rack might not be in the same place as stock, so we'll see here in a minute. All right, that's the first one. Seems to be going around the steering pretty good. It's nice and tight and didn't bind on anything. Hopefully that was the right one to start with. Alright, the second one is not fitting. It needs to go down another inch to line up with the bolt hole on that side. And it's touching on the Team Z K member. Right there. So I guess I could bend it with a hammer there and just take a risk that, well, I'm not going to probably be able to return these to this dude anyway, so I'm going to have to do what I have to do, I guess. Okay, false alarm. I had this one and this one mixed up. And you have to install these two. I don't think it matters which order. I installed this one first, then that one. Then I tried that one, but I couldn't get this one in, so I had to take that back one out. And then this one went in. And now I'm going to try to get that back one in. If I get that back one in, then I can try to put the collector on. All right, they went right in. They do hang a tad bit low, but I mean, they're where they're supposed to be, because there's barely any room right there, but they do hang lower than I thought they would. But you know, like I said, they were right exactly where they're supposed to be. So now that's a fuel line, I believe, and probably some nitrous stuff, and that's running too close to the exhaust. So I'm gonna have to go up there and disconnect them and get them on the other side of this frame rail where they were running to begin with, and then bring them in above at the wheel well, bring them into that motor. I got the transmission cooler lines are right there too, and I'm not exactly certain how. Maybe those need to, I don't know how I'm gonna route those. They could come back this way and then go You know, they could come back this way and then go that way across. I'm definitely going to have to do some stuff here to make this safe. All right. So I used a piston stop. See that in there? It's sticking down in there and it stops the piston. And I rotated it, and that's the marker right there. That edge right here, that you line that edge up with the line. Okay, and then I rotated it till it stopped. I put a piece of tape on it, on that side of it, so that means it's that line. Then I rotated it back the other way, and I put a tape on it, and it's that line. And I measured from here to here, and it turns out that half of that is 13/16. Well, from here to here is 13/16. So my timing balancer is correct. Now I know I can trust my timing for sure. This is the input-output module 554-165. It's got output wires, input wires, and sensor power ground wires. Okay. I think that all I have to do is connect this to this is a CAN bus to the main harness. This is a ground wire. And then I would pick these wires and pin whatever sensors I want based on the instructions on which pin to put the signal wire in the ground. 2 wires for each sensor, I believe. So I don't got the instructions printed out. I have to get online and find them. That's how it comes packaged for the CJ Pony Parts front fenders. got a little chafing right there, but not a big deal. See how those look on the car. I think they're gonna need a little tweaking here and there, obviously, but they go on. The holes aren't exactly lining up, but that could be just because this moved when I was messing with it. See, the slots are almost that much off on this front one, and if I line them up on this hole, then it wants to touch the door. So I just got them self-tapped to hold them in for now. So I'm gonna wait for the front end to get it closer. And then I probably should put the hood on, because the hood, well, I guess the hood probably isn't going to move it much once it's bolted together. But it'd be nice to know that the hood is where it's supposed to be. See, this is kind of tight, and it's because I got the regular screws holding it in. So that's too tight. So that one needs to come forwards a little bit too. But I just have to work at it, I guess, and wait for more parts. Got 2 of those and 2 of those. One's a wastegate and one's a blow-off valve. And then this must be the turbos. There must be just one blow-off valve and 2 wastegates. I thought the ad said 2 blow-off valves. That's the turbo. I'm not going to unwrap it. It's a T4H housing. So it's the bigger housing here. Probably gonna have to get different valve covers because I'm not ever gonna get that screw out. I ain't taking these off and on to lash the valves. Yeah, that's what the headers look like. I'm gonna get new valve covers so that I can bolt them from underneath and get the ones that bolt down here instead of up here, because that bolt hole is covered. And the turbo, I set it in there. I can't do it with 2 hands, but I set it in there and it's real close to here. So I'm gonna definitely need a narrow radiator like the 65 had stock. I could stand to go back a couple more inches there, but not there. So I'll probably wind up having to cut this here to gain a couple inches. It's not where it's going to be for sure. Like, I still got to shim that. I couldn't get the shim in when I was setting the motor down. I got that one in, but I still have to fine tune where it's going to be a little bit. And I could still go back at least an inch, and I might go back until that plate touches. Here's how I bolted on the bumper. I made that bracket there, and then that's what's left of the old bracket, and I just drilled and tapped holes and bolted it in. Same on this side. And I'll put those 2 screws in for the lower bumper. That's pretty much all that's holding this on, is those 2 screws. But it's good and solid. It's tight up against right here. Really tight. They don't move. Sticks out just a little bit right here on both sides. And then this is going to vibrate, so I gotta eventually mess with this and get it screwed to the fender at some point. Outside too. And then this is broke, so I need the light piece, the whole piece, because it's broke on this part and this part's still good. I drilled some 1/4-inch holes and put some bolts in, one here and one right there. That way when I take this back off and put the first one on, because there's 2 pieces, put the first piece back on here, I can line it up and weld it, and I'll know that it's located properly, and then put this top piece on and do it again, do the same thing, and then it'll be exactly where I have it now. Won't have to worry about measuring or nothing again. And I did the same thing here and here, so that I can get that exactly where it was. And here and here. That ought to make putting the fenders back on easy. I think I need to do it to the hood too. Okay, I got the bar in there. So, now I need to put a dash bar in, and I was thinking about going from here across, but seems like it might get in the way of some stuff to come this close to the firewall, so I think I might attach it right here and just run it right there along the edge of the dash. Of course, I should probably put the steering column in just to make sure that I'm not in the way of that, because the steering column bolts in right here. So I guess I probably should at least do that before I put that in. That way I know nothing's in the way. Well, that changes everything. Oh. I can't go pretty much anywhere on these bars. Has to go around that. Then the cowl drops down a little bit into here. So I'm gonna have to rethink this now. Figure out how I'm gonna get the dash bar in here. Well, after a lot of thought and planning and considerations, I put the dash bar right there. Because it was just easier to make a straight piece. All that's in the way. Up in here, there's going to be a brake booster or brake master cylinder rod and everything. And then up here, there's just barely enough clearance. And I don't really have a bender that's worth a crap. And so when I got to looking and I had the seat in and the steering wheel in, I sat in there and I was like, you know what? A dash bar can go there. And it doesn't look that bad, and when it's painted, it'll look even better, I suppose. That steering column needs to be painted anyway, so all this stuff in here is going to get painted, and that'll give me some place I can mount switches and stuff too, besides up here. So I left the pedestals out. Normally those have those pedestals, those right there. But the seats I got, they set you too high if you use them, so I'm just going to drill holes, in the floor here and bolt the seat straight to the floor because I wanted to sit a little lower in the car anyway. And when you look at this Fox body, these seats aren't that far off the floor, so I sat the seat in there and bolted it down, and it's comfortable, and it gets my head away from that upper bar there, so I might not need that cushion anymore. Because I was like, man, this sucks. When I had the pedestals in, I would have, if I would have done that, I would have probably just regretted it all the time. So I took them out, and it's gonna work out just fine. All right, I got the harness bar in, the dash bar, like I said. Now all that's left is putting this bar in. I gotta cut it short because it needs to actually be kind of maybe like that. It's either that or like that. I haven't decided yet, or anywhere in between, I suppose. Right there seems like a good spot, but I don't know. It's another day because I'm out of time. So those bars need to go in, one on each side. And then the door bar goes in. So that'll be another day also. Alright, I got I don't even know what those bars are called. Frame supports or something like that. Anyway, they're in. It's not perfect, but it's solid. I got everything out of the dash. I'm ready for paint. I think I'm gonna paint behind the dash, most of the roll cage, the floors all the way back to here. And I might do the doors, but it'll require a lot of masking. But these doors are kind of neat because the panel is actually the door on these cars. So I already sanded it down with some rough sandpaper. I got to get some better sandpaper and mask the windows and stuff. I suppose I could figure out how to take the windows out because this unbolts, but I don't know. It's just right here, down this way and around that way, that needs to be painted. So that's the next thing I'm gonna want to do. That'll look pretty nice once it's all painted. Then I want to paint, after it's primered, I want to paint everything black. And I want to paint the engine bay black also. And then I might start sanding the car down, and there's a lot of rock dings and whatnot all over the place. This was a bad spot. I don't know what happened there. The paint bubbled up from cutting on it or something. I gotta figure out how to fix that and that, because I might as well get it looking better before I get too far with putting it back together. Although I do think I'll probably wind up putting the motor back in just to test fit it again. I got it painted. Used a Rust-Oleum primer paint. Got quite a few runs actually, but it doesn't matter. It's dark and hard to see. So I think it looks a lot better. Could probably use another coat, maybe two. That's the end. I could weld these, but because they're slip fits. But I was thinking about putting a tab here and a tab here, just like this, so I can remove them for the track if I want. Okay, I got it tacked in down low. But it's baggy right here. I'm not sure how much that bagginess matters. If it has to be tight, then the seat's in the way. I can't get it to go down any further than that. Alright, I got it sticking out right there. There and right there. Hope the welds are good enough. I wonder if this is covering enough. You know, I wonder if that is okay. So I got to cut my own headlight holes and thread my own bolts, or drill my own bolt holes, I should say. I don't know how I'm supposed to screw it to the fender without any fender bolts. I think it's supposed to screw right here, and that's all cut away. don't know how they expect you to bolt that to the fender. The only thing, tabs are right here for attachment. Unless they, I guess they probably plan on you bolting it to the fenders with these 4 bolts. Sounds good. Better shut it off so it ain't got an alternator. I need to figure out how to seal this because that pump can't be on here, otherwise I'll probably wind up hitting it. I took it off so I could get the trailer maneuvered. And I need to figure out how to get those chains into the chain holes because it's too close to the floor. Wonder what kind of hardware fits that rail. I'm thinking about moving it to the center. And then I got that one too. Found these. I must have figured it out once before. I guess I'll have to see if they fit. Yep, fits. Cool. This battery cable goes to the positive. It's the best way I could get the meter up here. This is a post that's welded to the frame. 13.87, not a single drop, not even a little. That's the connection below the nut. That's the connection below that. And that's the frame itself. That's all that right here. It's the post and each connection and the frame. Not a single little bitty drop. Now, if I go here, that's to the head. Not a drop. If I go here, even though that's going through gaskets, not a drop. So the ground, the engine is grounded. Okay, 187. No voltage drop at all from the car all the way to here. That's the negative side. The positive side is going to be a little harder to check. All right, listen to this. I just did it and it surprised the shit out of me. Hear how fast that turns over? I need to give it gas for some reason to get it to start. Me forever to find this because the videos kind of skip over it, and it's not really apparent. So you go to system setup, oh, let's see here, settings, nitrous config, system setup. Okay, see, I got it set for coil per cylinder. That's because I have a 2014 Mustang. Well, it confuses you because if you set it for 8 cylinders right there, and then you click save, it just sits there like that. So you don't think that there's another setting. So I had it on 8 cylinders all this time, and even right now as I scroll through, I can't get it to go back out of that. And if I was to click save, that's all I'd ever see. So I clicked a different cylinder. See, now I hit cancel and it goes back to coil per cylinder. But you just got to know that that option is there, and if it's not there, you got to figure out how to get to it. And well, I just said, you know what, this isn't working. So I clicked 4 cylinders and clicked save, and then it came up for coil per cylinder. So I clicked coil per cylinder and clicked save, and now my RPMs are reading correctly, which is a big deal. That's a really big deal. Yeah, I got an 8-cylinder car. You'd think, okay, that worked. No, it doesn't. And if you don't really, it took me a long time of playing with this thing just to find out that there is a setting for coil over plug. So there's a setting for that. Under here is the switches for the nitrous. Okay, so this is the bottle heater. That's on, that's off. This is the bottle opener. Up is open. You hear it stop. Down is closed. You hear it stop. You have to have the car off to hear that running. This is the arm switch. That's the controller. This is the purge. That's the fuel pressure for the car, for the fuel line for the car. That's the fuel pressure for the standalone system from Coyote Specialists. Regulator, cutoff switch. This relay is for the pump. If you unplug this top one, that stops the fuel pump from running if you need to for any reason. I got fuses here, here, and there for various things with the nitrous. I don't know if I said that's the relay for the bottle heater. That's the bottle and the bottle opener. And this is for the bottle pressure to turn the heater off and on. Okay, so if you take a continuity tester from this to this side to this side, and an Allen wrench, and you screw it in this little nut in the middle, or Allen screw in the middle, then when it's beeping, it's on, and when it's not beeping, it's off. And I screwed it until I unscrewed it till it stopped beeping when it was high, right? And then I turned the bottle on and it lost pressure because it filled the line. And then I was able to turn it back on, or turn this until it turned back on. And then I made it turn on at 900 to 950-ish. And it just turns off whenever it turns off. But I think that's as high as it's going to get because it turned off on its own. And it was about in the middle when it turned off in the middle. And then it just rose up that much from sitting here. So I think I'm finally ready to make a test hit. Okay, so this is the knock sensor data right here in the orange, and it's between 0 and 2. So this is the load, showing that it did probably get a little bit of tire spin in the beginning. That's the RPMs. And that's the spark advance. It's really everything you need to look at when you're doing nitrous, I think. Now this looks like this is the first nitrous hit, okay? And that's kind of messed up because when you click on the knock sensor, all through, looks like for third gear, it's knocking at 4. And it's supposed to be between 0 and 2, I think. So something's going on there. The timing fell off of it, or dropped out of it. Where's timing? So it started knocking, it started pulling timing, which isn't good, I don't think. That was the first hit. Now this is what the knock sensor does when I run it on the nitrous tune without using nitrous. The knock goes into the negative. And I'm not sure I understand that completely, but it might mean that it could have a lot more timing because it goes into the negative, and when it goes into the positive, it needs to take timing away. So if I look at this spark advance, it's adding timing here. Then it took it away for third gear again because the knock sensor went up there. So it's dropping down, it adds timing, and then the spark nut comes up a little bit, and then it drops timing out again. At least that's the way I'm understanding it, but I could be wrong.